Hey, it's Brock here from Rock Hill Farms, and today we're going to see if we can get some progress made on the Quonset hut. I've had a lot of people asking what's going on with it or why we haven't had any videos on it. But it's been difficult in the winter as the weather's been bad and everybody's been sick. It's been hard to get a little crew out here. But today I've got 2 helpers here now. It's about 9 in the morning. And I've got a teenage son that I can kick out of bed here in a minute. So that'll give us 4 people, and hopefully we can get up 3 or 4 arches. There are 22 arches up right now out of 29, so we've got 7 left. And we can accomplish that in 2 days. And then the basic structure will be up, and it'll be a matter of figuring out how we want to do the end walls. So right now we're going to get all the tools rounded up, get everything set up, and then we'll see how much we can get done. These pallets are just leftover from freight we have received, and we stack them up in 3 stacks and use that as a place to build the arches and to hold the arch level until we are ready to lift it into place. So we've already spent half an hour just finding tools and getting everything set up. And we come to our first little hurdle from not doing this for 2 months. The whole time we were working on it before, we had 2 types of arches and we had them separated, and we had a routine for the order they were assembled. Now we can't remember. So we got to try to compare and see. One set of the long arches has more curve than the other ones, and I can't remember if those go to the outside or at the top. It looks like the stack further back has more curve to it, and just looking at it, it seems like we got more curve on the outside. I'm gonna find the manual and verify that though. I've got my 2 helpers building the first arch. Normally, with the 4-person crew, we've got 2 people on the ground building an arch and 2 people putting the bolts in the previous arch. Since we don't have a previous arch, I'm gonna go ahead and get our outside supports set up. That's the angle iron that we use as a pivot point for standing the arches. I get a lot of suggestions on different ways to lift the arches, but the arches aren't heavy, they're flimsy. And they wanted to fold, not hold their shape, and the ends would push out off this wall, and they were just hard to manage until we came up with this angle iron. And by bolting each end of the arch to this, it gives us the pivot point, and it's really been a game changer for standing these up. The idea to do it this way came from a viewer, which is awesome. That only takes a few minutes per arch just to move these over. And set your end on the pallets. Like we were going this top hole over here, right?
I think so, yeah.
It's got to go out that way a little bit so the edge can go. All right. As we build the arches, we use alignment pins and clamps to hold the panels in place and get everything lined up. It's kind of a struggle getting the hang of it, but once you get a routine down, you can move pretty quickly.
Threads a little bit, you can get that nut tapper in there. There you go, that aligned a lot better out there.
Now that we've got the arch put together, we got it secured on each side. We have 2 more eye bolts tied to a rope, knotted a few feet down. We hooked that up at like 2 and 10 on the arch so we can put even pressure from each side. And then it requires 1 person on each end, and preferably you have someone at the bottom pushing up, but you can get by without that one if you have to. And then the 3rd person is up at the top pulling. Using the tractor to start the lift really isn't necessary. We actually did most of these arches completely by hand, and I actually think you wouldn't really want to lift much higher than this before you start pulling from each side, because you can see it's already starting to bend the arch. My camera battery died right after we got that arch up, but once we get it up, the middle person goes to each side and starts getting bolts put in, and I'm able to put in a few bolts from the top. Once we have about 5 or 6 bolts in the top, 5 or 6 on each side, then we split into two-person crews. 2 people are building the next arch, 2 people are going along the top and putting the bolts in. It actually takes longer to put the bolts in than it does to build the next arch. After each arch, we got to back the pallets up 2 feet. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. Then I'm going to move our angle iron down, and then we'll start building that next arch. If you're wondering how long it takes for each arch, that depends on how much help you have and how smooth your system is. On average, we've been spending about 2 hours per arch. The best day that we've had, we got 6 arches, and we were able to do that in 6 hours. But we had a 6-person crew, so 2 people were building the next arch, and there were 2 sets of people putting the bolts in the existing arch. We just had a big snow, and it's all melting off, so the ground out here where I don't have the rock is completely muddy, and that's a real hassle having all that mud on your boots when you're trying to work. So I took the little bit of rock that I had left from the last job and spread it in this area, trying to make it at least a little bit better. We've almost got the next arch built, and all the bolts are in the top, but they're making their second trip across, tightening those down. We've tried it both ways. It feels a little quicker to put them in and tighten them as you go, so you're only moving your scaffolding once. The problem with that is when you get to the other end, you've got no movement to line your bolt holes up. So the way we're doing it right now is starting them all, then going back across and tightening them up from the bottom. The ideal way you're supposed to do it is leave the entire arch loose and then tighten them all after you're done. But you can't always do that from the bottom, and I still haven't figured out how to scale the outside of this to do it from the top. So that's what we're doing for now. I know there are probably ways we could do this better, but we have a routine down and it works. It's a little bit tedious, but we haven't run into any problems since we started doing it this way.
Well, we were able to put about a half a day on this. I think we spent a little over 5 hours, got 3 arches up. We have 4 arches left, so it should be one more work day and we'll have the main structure done. I appreciate you guys taking time to watch. See links over here to more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.